And when we induce people, I just do it with a voice, and it
Oh,
takes
wow.
a little bit of time. So about, let's say, 20 minutes, and we're
Mhm.
gonna go on the journey in this time, when we're gonna put the protection around you, and you're gonna find the most appropriate time and place that has information for you to discover what you
Yes.
need. Because before we would have an interview for about 1 to sometimes 3 hours to discuss
Oh,
all the issues that you've got,
yeah.
and you somehow also program your subconscious mind already to look for answers to these questions and the issues you've got. So once we land in the most appropriate time and place that has information, um, I ground you there. I leave you
Hmm.
there, and I say, "What do you see? Do you have a body? Look at your look. Do you have feet? Do you see there's
Mm.
something on your feet? You know." And people, it's like a dream. So sometimes, so by exploring those little details, the full picture emerges. So it's not like, or what do you see? Do you see something? No, look at your legs. Do you have legs? Do you feel like you have a body? Are you man or a woman? Are you young? Are you old? So, so basically, this is the way to explore it. And yes, and people usually have a body, and then they say what they see on their feet, and then they say what kind of jewelry they're
Oh,
wearing.
wow.
Sometimes, let's say, when they were priestesses in the past lives, they would wear some beautiful ornaments, dresses. They can clearly see what they're wearing. It's actually very easy to see. Like, I'm saying this
Oh, that's
as
fantastic.
someone who has this done on me many, many times, and it's a
Hmm.
very easy way. It's far easier to start like this, as opposed to, let's say, "Oh, what do you see? What do you feel? Describe something." That's
Okay,
not as good as asking for specific details on their body. And also,
that's
if
good.
yeah, and also if they don't have a body, they would say it. "Oh, I don't feel
Mm.
I have a body," or "I'm very light," or "I see a lot of light around me." So yeah, because a lot of people go to the source as well, as they call it.
Which is
So it's very, very interesting. Yeah,
it
yeah.
is. So with particularly, the fact that the Jay-Z person was in Harlem, and he was sort of working right through the 1930s, through the 1935 riots. Some of the images that we saw was a shop. A shop was called the Harlem Seafood Place. We saw that when I was looking at him. He showed me the Harlem Seafood Place. He also showed, on the side over there, there was, like, the Harlem River houses, and there was also a lot of people and friends and smiling, and the shoes and the boots and his dusty jacket. The dust, there was a lot of dust, and he was showing me what he was working on, these big big buildings, and very very lots of cars all parked, but they had this white dust, lots of dust everywhere, lots of dust. It was terrible. And then I said to him, well, I said to him, are you driving this car? And he said, no, it's not the car. I get on this bus. And the bus had two tones. The top piece was, I think it was like a beigey color, and then the bottom was like a dark burgundy color, like the color in your top. It had that. And he said, no, what we do, the people that are working on the construction, we get on the bus, and then they move us up and down, up and down. But there was hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of these buildings, hundreds of buildings everywhere. And that's what he was showing. So it's very interesting that you say people would do you think people would be able to see that level of detail that I've explained?
Seeing you say this, because 22, It was in Tulum in Mexico.
Yeah.
It was a very interesting session. The lady who came to the session was Afro-American origin,
Oh, wow.
and one of her past lives were in a boat going from Africa to the States.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, I even got shivers right now. It was so, she was able to provide so much detail from this boat, like how people were next to her, who was next to her.
Wow.
Like there was a mother and a child, and the child's name was this, and like it was, and the child was wearing this. It was very, very interesting. So yes, definitely. And then she worked in a shop in New York as well, like
Oh,
in the
wow.
late 19th century. And yes,
Wow.
it was very similar. She also gave the name of the shop. She gave the name of the bar that she went after work. It's that level of detail. Yeah. Yeah,
That is
definitely.
amazing. That must be fantastic to be able to, sit with someone who's going through the past life and seeing all these things and hearing all the things. And also the fact that the lady was also able to give you the name of the shop. I then also said, when I saw these remote views, that I was looking at these particular areas. And when I came back, I'm not sure whether you have the same idea, is the first thing I wanted to do is check this
Yeah.
this this Harlem fish shop. Oh my goodness. I felt really bad. I thought, oh, I didn't trust what it is that I'm seeing or that I'm getting. And I then went quickly go and look, was there such a thing as the Harlem fish shop? And there was. So do the clients sometimes go and
Sometimes they
check
do.
and have a look? Tell us about that. Tell us.
Yeah, I have two people now in mind that one lady came, and she was some kind of a famous singer, and we more or less we could place her. So sometimes they don't know what age is this or what year it is, but they can say, oh, I see this type of a car, or I see this, I see that. So we can roughly afterwards kind of investigate it and put it into place. And we did that, and we actually managed to find a singer from, I think it was New Orleans. It was also American client.
Wow.
And we managed to find a singer who was not super famous, but she was famous enough. And we kind of, she even looked like my client. So I've
Wow.
done once with her, and she was very surprised by it, because her life right now had nothing to do with singing. So she was very surprised.
Wow.
And another man was a Italian man
Yeah.
who had a similar story, but he was already very fabulous, I would say. You could see that he had some kind of entertainer to his personality. So that wasn't that surprising. But oh my God, this session, he was on the stage as a woman, and,
Oh,
and
wow.
he
That's
was,
interesting.
again, I have chills. And he was performing, and the smile on his face, the
Oh,
the crying, it was unbelievable. So with him, it was less of a surprise, I would say. But yeah, I had a few times a situation like this.
that's amazing. And of course, he was a he in this life, but his past life, he was a she. He was a lady on the stage. Bless you. And
Sorry.
do you find that normal, that, that it's okay for, to swap and change and to be the different types of genders in each lifetime?
Sorry, 1 second.
That's all right. So while Daria goes and gets herself some water, we will also go back. When I was looking through the different Akashic records in order to be able to look for different areas today, I then looked at people like Nicolas Cage, and he particularly was part and parcel of a Tennessee area. And when you look at him today and you look at him in the Tennessee area, at first, when you see the two images, you kind of think, maybe Nicolas Cage was preparing for a movie role, or maybe he was, already in a movie because he was in the costume in the time period. But then when you look a bit further, you see this is actually a congressman, or this is somebody from Tennessee centuries ago. So do you have clients that come to you sometimes and say, I feel that I was in that era, or I have a particular connection to this era? And then they ask you, could we go back and have a look and see whether I was in this era, whether that's something that happened? Do you have people that come to you with that?
Yes, that happens quite a bit, but it will be very no, not very predictable. Yes, it happens. It happens a lot with Egypt, for example. A lot of people have
Oh,
connection to Egypt. Yes, but also some people. Actually, I'm one of these people too. Like I always end up in London, and I even like ask myself sometimes, what's my connection to it? And in one of the sessions, I think I understood that. It was showing me how I was performing here on stage, and it was also very interesting.
wow.
But I was some kind of minor helper. I wasn't any of the great like celebrity of or any of it.
Oh, I see.
But definitely, people actually do look for sessions because of this feeling that they feel a connection to a place, or especially sometimes everyone hopes to be like a Aphrodite in the past life or Cleopatra, but sometimes they get disappointed, sometimes not. Yeah, because
Yeah, I would imagine so.
it was very interesting. Even Dolores was saying that most past lives were very mundane, and indeed they were. It's very interesting to listen to the level of detail people provide about their, let's say, about their place of life or the clothing they're wearing. But
Mhm.
when they land, let's say, somewhere in the 15th century, they they just have a bed and a chair,
Oh,
that
oh.
kind of modest, modest surrounding.
Lifetime. Wow, that's amazing. So do you then also find that some individuals will, when they go back into that past life, that they realize that there is or there have been some emotional or mental or even physical issues that they have had in the past life that they might have brought with them in this lifetime or to this lifetime? Do you find that connection
Yes,
sometimes?
yes, always. I actually do ask for
Um,
it. I specifically ask, so what does this life have to do with the life you are living right now? I ask to the subconscious, why did you show him this life or show her this life? What does it have to do with this life he or she is living right now? What are the lessons? So, yes, definitely, because every life has a meaning and a purpose. And we would explore quite a few lives in,
mhm.
but not more than five, let's say, but in a
Okay.
lot of detail. And
Okay.
after exploration of past lives, we would then move on to the part of the subconscious. And one of the most
Mm.
interesting things is that the moment when they die in the past life,
Oh yes, of
because
course,
that's
of course.
very important.
Mm.
We very, very often see that, let's say, someone who has the fear of heights maybe was pushed out from
Oh,
somewhere high and died. Some people have marks on their body, and that's usually they were received a bullet or they were stabbed or something. It's very interesting. The birthmarks actually do carry this kind of history. And then
Amazing.
after the person dies, it's also very, very, very interesting. I mean, to be honest, it would be probably even better if I didn't reveal it. But when you practice and these things repeat so many times with many people, it's very interesting um, how this is a phenomenon, you know.
Mm.
So usually people when they die, they feel very good after they die. They feel
Oh,
light,
good.
feel free. They feel so like, because obviously we as practitioners are taught not to keep someone in the moment of death.
Oh,
Is
good. Good.
now
Good.
you
Good.
everything what was supposed to happen happened, and now we are on the other side. Where are you? What do you see? And they would usually be around. They would experience no pain. They would experience great lightness. And then I would ask, now that you look at your life from above or wherever,
Mm.
like, what do you see? Like, why do you think you live this life, etc., etc. So yeah, that's the biggest value, is in the way they actually died and how they see their lives after they died. And they would usually say something, oh, I just realized, this was all scripted, or this is a play and I was an actor, or
Mm.
yeah, or like, I don't know, I was not good for my family. I should have been better. I love them so much and I'm not there anymore, etc. And usually